is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer LaGrassa. Katarina is away. A family facing deportation is fighting to stay in Canada while one of them receives medical treatment. But the government says they don't qualify as refugees. CBC's Jacob Barker has our top story.
This family wants the federal government to let them stay in Canada for their personal safety, but also so this 16-year-old cancer survivor can continue to receive medical treatment.
I'm just pleading for safety and my health because I still have ongoing treatments on checkup.
Amirat Fayemi is in remission after being diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia in 2022, but she's now being treated for a new issue concerning her blood. Her family fears it may be a sign that the cancer has returned.
And as I speak, I have my daughter's heart and liver at risk of storing so much iron.
The family had an order to report for removal from Canada on September 8th, but they disobeyed that order so that Fayemi could begin critical treatment to lower the amount of iron in her blood. Her doctor has stated that she should not fly, but according to documents shared with the CBC, another doctor who looked at the case on behalf of immigration authorities disagreed. And the CBSA has denied the family's request to delay their removal.
I'm not saying she shouldn't do her work in our office, but sometimes, I don't know, maybe experience or empathy should be applied.
The family is distrustful of the care she would receive in Nigeria and says she was misdiagnosed there. Her cancer diagnosis only came during a family vacation in the U.S. It was in the hospital there the family decided to come to Canada. It also fell as a crisis was breaking out back home. Amirat's father, an opposition member in the Nigerian government, was kidnapped, almost killed, and now is in hiding, according to the family. CBC has not independently verified the claims. Canada has refused the family's asylum claim and subsequent appeals. They are now requesting permanent residency on humanitarian and compassionate grounds. Border officials say that it isn't reason to delay removal and that there isn't any evidence that she couldn't get care in Nigeria. Leaders of the Nigerian community here in Windsor are rallying behind the family.
When somebody's going through a situation, you need to support him to come out of that medical situation. Then you can deal with the law angle, right? This life has to be saved.
The federal government refused to comment on the family's case due to privacy despite their consent. A statement from the Ministry of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada says, a decision to remove someone from Canada is not taken lightly. Every individual facing removal is entitled to due process, but once all avenues to appeal are exhausted, they are removed from Canada in accordance with Canadian law. Meanwhile, the family is holding out hope, but the threat of imminent deportation is still hanging over them.
Please, Canada, restore my child's hope to live. That's all I can say.
Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
The only good news, there's no good news, but the only good news is they're adding a third shift in Windsor, and they're going to try to transfer 1,500 people from Brampton down to Windsor.
That was Premier Doug Ford on Wednesday talking about Stellantis backtracking on its plan to build the Jeep Compass SUV in Brampton. That production will now happen in the U.S. And as Ford mentioned, Stellantis did reaffirm its commitment to bring back a third shift at the Windsor assembly plant. That shift is expected to start back up in January. Brampton workers have the right to transfer into positions here in Windsor. A small number already have. Jason Vio spoke to one Brampton auto worker who plans to come to work here full time once that third shift is up and running.
My daughter's cried. That kind of made it harder.
For Chris Vickers, it's been many incredibly difficult discussions with family that led him to take a job opening at Windsor's assembly plant in early 2026 because his job of 20 years in Brampton is essentially moving to the U.S. He'll be commuting back and forth, spending most of his time away from his wife and two daughters, ages 12 and 14.
It's going to be rough. I mean, common sense. I'm not going to be here, so I'm not going to see them every day. They're going to Zoom me, FaceTime me probably every day. The commute's going to be hard. I don't like driving far distances. I work 5 minutes from my work right now, so that's going to be a big change.
Vickers will be taking one of the 1,400 new jobs that will be up and running early next year when the third shift is coming back. But even though he'll still have a job, Vickers says it won't be easy, especially after finding out about all of this from a Stellantis robocall this week.
Disrespectful, disgusting behavior by the company.
And the openings in Windsor don't make union leaders in Brampton feel any better about the automaker's decision.
That's not the answer for Brampton. The answer for Brampton is product. The answer for Brampton, what's committed to Brampton from the company, from the provincial and federal governments, not transfers to Windsor. We're talking about a 4-hour transfer. We're talking about uprooting our members' lives and people's lives. That's unacceptable.
Unifor Local 444 represents Windsor auto workers and says they don't expect Brampton workers to fill anywhere close to all the open local spots. And there aren't any workers on recall from when the third shift was eliminated in 2019. So aside from Brampton transfers, the positions will be filled with new hires.
I think there's still going to be a lot of opportunity from people from the Windsor area applying for jobs. I think there's still going to be those opportunities. There's still going to be those opportunities at feeder plants around the city to fill holes, to make sure the third shift has all the parts it needs.
There are roughly 2,400 unionized workers at the Brampton plant who would be eligible to transfer to the Windsor Assembly plant. Stellantis says it does have plans for Brampton, but won't make them public until after more talks with the feds. Vickers is 9 years away from a full pension, something he didn't want to lose, and a big reason he's taking the job in Windsor. But if Brampton starts back up again, he says he'll be eager to move back to be with his family. Jason Vio, CBC News, Windsor.
Colette Kennedy is here. Colette, no complaints today.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, and you know, it seems like what a day, right? Here we are with a lot of sunshine again. Temperature's pretty nice, pushed up to about 17 degrees. And there's that ridge of high pressure that's been protecting us, but it can only do that for so long. So this right here is the next system, that area of low pressure kind of sitting right around the northern plains. That's going to be coming in and having an impact on the weekend. So I'm going to talk quite a bit more about that coming up a little later in the show. Tonight, 6, some patchy fog, a slight shower chance early, and then a lot more cloud cover tomorrow than today.
Okay, thanks, Colette. We'll see you soon. The NDP MPP and leader of Ontario's official opposition says she wants to see Ottawa fight tooth and nail for auto jobs. Merritt Stiles was in Windsor taking questions from reporters about Stellantis and its decision to move jobs out of Brampton and into Illinois. Here's some of what she had to say.
I was happy to hear the federal minister say that they're willing to take some tough action against the company if they decide to pull and move to Illinois, as they announced this week. I think it's outrageous. I am sick and tired, I will say, as an Ontarian, as a Canadian, with these companies who come up here and we feed them all kinds of money and support, and then they up and leave. So if the federal government managed to negotiate some tough conditions, I hope they will use every tool that they have and the power that they have in that agreement. I have not heard the same thing from the Premier. I've heard a lot of outrage, but I haven't actually heard what he's going to do to stand up for those jobs.
Windsor police have charged 2 people in the murder of a missing Windsor man. 37-year-old David Pavao went missing 2 months ago. Investigators carried out multiple searches, and while no body was found, police concluded Pavao was killed on or around August 14. A 54-year-old man has been charged with first-degree murder, and a 49-year-old woman is charged with being an accessory to the crime. The investigation is ongoing as Pavao's remains have yet to be recovered. A by-election for Ward 2, which is in the city's West End, is less than 2 weeks away. 15 people have put their names in the race to be the area's next city councillor. And our video producer Mike Evans spoke with some voters about what issues matter to them as they decide who will get their vote.
More housing, better traffic control with all the speeding and things going on. With the derelict houses, a lot of them are being torn down, which is a good thing.
Okay, so you're born and raised in the West End, and you were at the debate last night. What are some of the issues that are important to you in the election?
Oh, I would say traffic calming. Well, I don't know if you just saw, I was waiting about 5 minutes to cross the road here just to go over to Dollarama. So it would be great if, even the lights aren't that responsive at Brock when you press the button. So You know, it would be nice to see if maybe there was more speed limit enforcement or just enforcement of the Highway Traffic Act generally in Windsor wide, but particularly in Ward 2.
And another issue that's huge on people's minds, you probably heard them talking about it at the debate last night, was the derelict houses. What does that mean to you?
I can remember when the houses on Indian Road were extant and populated. It's a shame that the bridge just hasn't really remedied that situation. You know, if they want to build the secondary inspection, just go build the secondary inspection. No halfway crooks.
The most important issues that I say would be old boarded up houses. I moved here around over 10 years ago when I was in my teenager years, and they were actually just boarded up around then with signs promising to do something about it. Yeah, it's still a huge issue. There's still a lot of houses, because even if you go a few blocks that way, there's still like a few houses that are like boarded up, being burned down or whatnot.
You said that you've been checking Reddit boards and you've been learning about the candidates. Have you made a decision?
Unfortunately not. I have not made a full decision on who to vote for, because unfortunately I wish I could vote for somebody who was running last time, but they unfortunately dropped out.
Thousands of people, including myself, will be running the Detroit Free Press Marathon this weekend. There's also a bunch of other running events taking place. But if you're in the Facebook group, you know that there's quite a bit of panic about the weather that's coming our way. Example A, example B, and example C.
For the second half of the weekend, wet and windy conditions. It's perhaps not the most pleasant of days for outdoor activities.
So I decided to stop in at the running factory to get some tips on how to stay dry.
For those who are looking at the weather and going, oh my goodness, what do I do? Nothing new on race day.
Use the same outfit and shoes you've been training in. But here's what you can do.
Stay as dry for as long as possible. The garbage bag, the poncho, the bags over the shoes, keep everything you're going to be wearing as dry as possible until you get to the start line. Then you can rip it off and get going.
So you just Superman it, basically.
Exactly. Peel it, toss it, and away you go. You got it.
If you want to wear a rain jacket during the run, keep it light so you don't overheat. But if you do get wet, it's more likely your skin will chafe. So put gel or cream on these spots.
Toes, inner thighs, underarms, ladies, the sports bra band, guys and girls. I hate to say it, but nipples. And last but not least, the most important thing is keeping your phone and your passport protected. So a lot of people put those in Ziploc bags, tape the Ziploc bag shut.
The good thing about the rain, it'll likely keep you feeling cool. But McCammon says even though you might not feel hot, you still need to drink and fuel. In an email, a spokesperson for the Detroit Free Press Marathon said they're monitoring the weather conditions, but didn't say whether the race would be canceled if there's a thunderstorm.
People look back on this year and they'll see you doing, oh man, you were one of the ones that ran in that crazy rain. And you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm pretty hardcore.
But the cheering spectators are also a big part of the fun. Hundreds usually line Windsor's Riverside Drive, so hopefully the rain won't keep them away. There will be 5 cheer zones this year, and the route includes a loop by City Hall. Downtown Councilor Ronaldo Agostino says everyone should come prepared for the weather. His advice for the runners, this is not a sport for the weak. The number of home sales across Canada dropped last month for the first time since April. That happened despite the Bank of Canada's interest rate cut in September. The Canadian Real Estate Association says that nationwide home sales were down 1.7% last month compared to August. That drop was due to lower sales in Greater Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Ottawa, and Montreal, which offset sale increases in the Greater Toronto Area and Winnipeg. CREA also said the average cost of a Canadian home in September was just over $676,000, down about 3.5% from a year earlier. Now, if you think you work hard and are thinking about one day retiring, let us introduce you to Anna Posi, believed to be Italy's oldest barista. She's 100 years young and has no plans of quitting anytime soon. Each day before dawn, she gets to work behind the counter, firing up that espresso machine. It's something she's done for more than 8 decades. Anna began her career in hospitality as a teenager at the end of the Second World War in a family restaurant. She and her late husband purchased their own place in the Italian Alps 65 years ago, and she's been working there ever since. Something else to celebrate, Anna's 101st birthday is November 16th. And as my nonna would say, brava! A look outside there, we got some clear skies and great sunshine today. You can already feel the days getting a little bit shorter though. We've got some more news coming up, so stay with us. The Prime Minister has announced plans to get tough on crime. Mark Carney says his government is going to amend the current laws surrounding bail and sentencing for many types of violent crimes. Changes that echo what the Conservative opposition has long been calling for. Lisa Shing has the details.
We're strengthening the criminal code.
A promise to crack down on crime from Prime Minister Mark Carney.
It's too easy for repeated violent offenders to quickly get back on the street, sometimes back into the same communities that they just committed crimes in.
The Liberal government says it will introduce legislation next week that will make violent and repeat offenders charged with home invasions, assault, or human trafficking prove they deserve bail. The changes to the criminal code will also allow for consecutive sentences for many serious crimes, restrict conditional sentences for sexual offenses, and impose harsher penalties for organized retail theft. Carney also said his government will hire 1,000 new RCMP officers. The Conservatives have been pushing for bail reform for years. Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre said his plan, a private member's bill already tabled in Parliament, is better.
We're going to bring in 3 strikes, you're out. 3 serious offenses, an offender will go to jail for 10 years with no chance of parole, probation, house arrest, or bail.
Flo Bellman and her husband Paul Henderson have been calling for these measures for years, ever since their daughter Darian was shot dead 5 years ago. Her ex-boyfriend has been charged with first-degree murder. He was out on bail when the crime was committed.
If the system had done what it was supposed to do, Darian would be alive today. She would still be with us.
She would, for sure.
We believe that. And this is why it's so important for change to come.
But others say Carney's plan won't make meaningful change.
We don't even have basic numbers, like how many people allegedly committed new offenses while on bail, what offenses those were. And so without that information, we're stuck in a cycle of making policy by soundbite or anecdote rather than evidence.
We need to recognize that allocating resources to social services to assist these individuals will make all of us safer.
But for these parents who lost their daughter to violence, any change that can save a life is meaningful. Lisa Shang, CBC News, Toronto.
High home prices and rental costs have people saying au revoir to Montreal, and projections indicate the exodus will reach 6 figures over the next 5 years. Sarah Levitt reports.
So as we come in, we're gonna have the nice mudroom.
Elliot Dumas is ready for the big move. He used to live in Montreal, but now, alongside his girlfriend, they're building their dream home in Saint-Sauveur, about an hour out of the city.
Fresh air, more space, again, affordability, and I always wanted to, if ever we raise a family, to raise it in an easier environment.
Dumas is not alone, and as a real estate agent, he says there's a reoccurring theme for why others leave the city for country life.
Affordability. So, you can, in many cases, you can have a house for the price of a 2-bedroom condo in Montreal.
More and more families are leaving Montreal. According to Quebec's Statistics Institute, more than 120,000 Montrealers are projected to move to other regions in the province by 2030. Experts say the cost of living and lack of housing are big reasons why. While rents in Vancouver and Toronto remain higher, low rents in Montreal are a thing of the past. The average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment has gone up 71% since 2019. Young, middle-class couples may buy a condo, but then...
When you want to have 2 or 3 kids, usually the possibilities in Montreal are less common than in the suburbs.
Yeah, I'm sad to leave this place.
For Guillaume Nicodème and his wife, who rented this apartment in Montreal for the past 10 years, the move out to the eastern townships wasn't their first choice.
It's getting so expensive that we are at mortgage price. Closer to that feels weird, it feels strange, and I'm kind of sad about that part.
There are, though, growing pains to population growth in some rural areas. Certain towns in the Laurentians have halted development permits because current water and sewage infrastructures can't handle that many residents. Dumas says, though, they're catching up, and he encourages others to try out the country.
A beautiful day to be out on the water. Those are people fishing on the Detroit River. We almost have to remind ourselves that it's October 16th. Colette, I am wondering if this weather is going to keep up, although I'm hearing that it is not, because I have an important date coming up. I'm running the marathon on Sunday, as are so many other people this weekend.
Yeah, and you know, there is actually some encouragement in the forecast. And yeah, let me take you through it. I highly suggest we meet back here tomorrow and talk about it again when I have the most recent information. But I am going to show you where I'm seeing that we could actually end up with a nice window in there between the rain. The wind, that'll be another scenario. Normal high for this time of year, 15 today, up to 17. We were close on the lows, but all that sunshine, it just, you know, a really pretty fall day. Still holding at 16 degrees here in Windsor. And overnight tonight, we do, again, the same region there, Chatham-Kent, you do have a frost advisory, although there's a frost risk elsewhere. And also as the winds get lighter, could even get a bit of patchy fog coming back a little further towards the southwest. But this is the system I was showing at the top of the show, which is our main player for the next 3 days, really, as it comes in. For a point, we'll get into the warm sector, and that's going to be a nice kind of feeling to it and unusual for this time of year in terms of the temperatures we'll experience. But then we're going to have to pay for that with the wet weather and the windy conditions too. So for tonight, we have the clearer skies through much of the overnight. However, what happens is we rapidly get into some increasing cloudiness, and by early tomorrow morning, there is a shower chance, a risk early, and then it's mostly cloudy that we have to, or clouds that we have to contend with, and not so much dealing with the wet weather. It moves off towards the east. But as we go into Saturday, we get into the warm sector. We should have some sunshine in there, plus warm temperatures. Saturday is looking lovely. Now I've stopped it Saturday night. So right now the timing is that Saturday night into early Sunday. There would be some heavy rain, even some thunderstorms. 7 a.m. Sunday, though, we could get this dry pocket in here where perhaps even some sunny breaks develop. But again, it will be on the very breezy side. So I'll keep updating the timing on that because it's so crucial, you can tell. Overnight tonight, those temperatures will be sliding down to lows 5, 6, but then they'll be up to 9 by the time we get to about 8 a.m. 18, look at that warm up. Saturday, beautiful day, and maybe we'll do okay Sunday morning.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we just have to wear a rain jacket and strap on our hats.
Be ready
Thanks,
for that
Colette.
wind.